Ladies and gentlemen, Roger Federer.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Love you all. It's been an amazing journey. Thank you, everybody.
In some of my most important tournaments, I could feel I won't be as competitive as I want to be. And knowing that before you enter a tournament is incredibly frustrating because you know you're playing with the handbrake on. So this time around, older again, more difficult surgery, more time away from the game, and how much more motivation do you have also to go through it?
But the creativity that is behind this project, it allowed him to escape. I think also was nice for Roger to do something different. It's come at a really, I think, important time in his career.
It's unusual that he plunged himself into such a project. He must obviously trust me. I don't create a monster out of him. So it's very courageous, yes. And speaks for his positive nature and curious mind.
In a way, this is the end of the project, yet the beginning for the audience. I'm going to follow it very closely, what people are going to say. The beginning was hard. Now I feel my hands. I'm not used to being in a position for longer than a second.
I was in the middle of the process, developing a very specific work for the Venice Biennale 2022, when I got a phone call if I would be interested to do a portrait of Roger Federer. I hold my breath and I say, no, I can, because it just disrupts whatever I'm developing now.
Trying to think back, how I got to meet Ugo was, I think, through a friend of mine who knew that me and my wife were a fan of his artwork. I think he had just moved into an old church, maybe nearby the Upper East Side, and I was also staying in that part of town during the tournament, and then I went to say hello to him in his studio. Got a chance to meet him. Obviously had known beforehand that he was also Swiss-German speaking. I don't know, we just had a nice chat. He explained me a little bit what he was working on, and I saw some of his artwork, and then that's how I got to meet Ugo.
That's my studio, and you can see I'm staging 2 different exhibitions. A footprint of the gallery, which you see here. There is an inner monologue that it's continuous. So the product itself is just a part of that inner monologue that I have constantly. So it's not that the end product is the goal to work, it's the whole being is involved. My day involves around art, and that dictates my life. I started the idea of the flying figures maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I go to the west side to my swimming pool where I swim, and I pass by an area where you have all year round aerialists. And I would see those fascinating figures making their movement in the air, and sometimes it looked as if they were flying. So, and having that almost every day in front of me brought me to the idea that I should maybe do something with the flying figures. And I started with Amanda, the first one, 3 years ago, and then somehow I was not sure what to do with it until a year ago, where I got invited by the Scuola Grande for the Venice Biennale to do a work, and where I saw this church. I said, that's it. Now I have so something that was brewing for 3 years had the right outlet with that church.
When someone commissions a portrait, typically what's really critical is that they really have a strong relationship, because this is a very, sort of intimate experience that's taking place over a period of time. They have to make sure that they are trusting the process, and that process sometimes can be so different than what they experience within their sort of line of work.
I mean, it came as a surprise because I don't do commission. Once I do a commission, I go blank, and I feel I have to fulfill something which is not really my line of thoughts. But we found an elegant solution. I'm a great admirer of Roger Federer, of his achievement, so I wanted to help out. And we find an elegant solution by including him in something that I'm working on already. Because most of the time I need at least 2 years to prepare a new work. So this came in as a sidekick, and I declined first because I felt, no, that's disturbing, and if I work on 6 different projects and something comes just in like that, it brings Unruhe, it brings some inquietness in all the projects. So every project will suffer. After 2 days, I reflect and say, why not just include him as an anonymous figure into this existing project, not as Roger Federer. That's an inside information. I will not promote him as a figure. I would like him just to be one of 7 neutral bodies who fly.
Clearly, the last couple of years have been very different, with 3 knee surgeries, on my right knee. So it's been different and complicated, to say the least. The last thing I want to do on this one is to go too fast and then have a setback again. This one is the last chance I will have ever to play tennis again. That's why I'm going to have to take the extra time necessary.
Roger's knees have been plaguing him for the last 6-7 years. Tennis is a brutal sport. It takes its toll on the body, and he had a meniscus problem in 2016 after Wimbledon, and he needed to have an operation on it. So he got that done, and that was a success. That enabled him to come back. 6 months later, he came back and won the Australian Open, which nobody expected at all. You've got to be able to move at absolutely the perfect way. And his movement was always one of the greatest things of his career, one of the best things he could rely on, because he moved so effortlessly. He had very few serious injury problems in his career. But if your knees don't take the load, when you're loading to hit your forehand, to hit your backhand, to hit your serve, there's doubt in your mind, you just don't move quite as well as you should do, and you're always worried that you're not going to be able to keep up, or you might not be able to play. And if you're going to beat these young players these days, you've got to be able to compete for 4 or 5 hours, and he knew that, and I think he was realizing pretty quickly that it was going to be difficult to do that.
Why are you trying to come back? Like, what's the reason? You've done everything in the sport. He generally loves tennis, and so his rehab, it's been a long road.
Hey.
Hi, Roger. Good to see you.
How's everything?
How are you doing?
Long time no see.
It's been a while.
I was happy it's about Ugo and about the figures more than it's about Roger Federer is hanging up, in this church.
I installed here a trapeze, and it involves trapeze artists.
Okay.
and people will encounter flying figures, camouflage as clowns. The title of this work project will be Burn, Shine, Fly. The team itself, I have a core of a team who organizes different projects, a new project, and scouts people that I need. So my work is very diverse. I use every possible visual language that you can use.
Ugo said, no, okay, now let's hold on a second here. Let's really explain Roger what he's getting into. The position is this, the hand is there, the leg is here. We're gonna do, the full body, the torso, the right arm, the left arm, the right leg, the left leg. And then it's like, okay, and let's trapeze artist, let him quickly also explain it for you, how it felt for him, so he can give you some advice.
At the beginning, you stand on a block, and then you have to control, then you get in like with the hips first, and then you attach something around the head, the legs, but then the block gets removed and you're just hanging there. It's like one skill is the trust, have the feeling that you will come out, that everything is safe.
Yeah, of course you feel vulnerable. You feel, okay, I'm used to it when I'm on a tennis court, but then I got my racket, which is like my hammer from Thor, you know what I mean? And when then somebody films you, it's no problem. But in your underwears, in a harness, hanging there, it's obviously a very different situation, and that's what I think was so unusual for me. And even if it's ridiculous, you still think, well, it's part of the creative process. This is what it's going to take to make it a good end result.
We are taking negative molds of living people, of living bodies. First, we take a first negative mold, like a primary negative from the body with a silicone rubber, and after that we stabilize the silicone rubber with a plaster mold.
Sie schauen sehr böse. Also, ich weiß nicht, was jetzt alles noch kommt, oder? Aber bis jetzt ist
If someone closed everything that you normally hear with or see something, so you're really on your own, and you have to be calm enough to stand these 20 minutes. I think that's the first thing, to have a model that is really open to do that and go on that journey. Demold the whole thing, so we take the plaster away, then the silicone away, put that back together and brush in that case, another plaster into the negative mold to have a plaster positive. You have to do it quick enough, you have to know what details will be seen in the end and which not.
It's totally weird and uncomfortable thing to do, but it's an experience.
Done some facials in the past, and I've experienced sort of masks in the past, but not anything remotely as extreme as this one, because going all across the ears really blocked off, the hearing. I mean, it probably cut it away by like 90%. So I was then a bit worried that I couldn't hear her anymore if she told me something, and I couldn't speak anymore at this point because the mouth was covered. We're going through this initial sort of 5 to 10 minute stage where you're completely new to this situation, and then So hard was the mouth and then the ears, but then really hardcore I thought was the eyes, because it went really like right into the corner of the eye and it really feels like it could go into your eye almost. There's so many thoughts going through your head as you're going through this process. It was actually quite interesting.
He really became somehow calm, and he was in a really, sometimes I wasn't sure if he's somehow already a bit asleep or like really down.
Yeah, the journey in the beginning was one of, wow, this is different, this is fun, whoa, this is getting extreme. At the end, whoa, how much longer is it? And I got to think of a lot of different things. It was reminding me maybe a little bit of when you sit on a change of ends during a tennis match. And when things are going bad, you're like, I gotta change this, I gotta play more to his backhand, remember to stay aggressive, what did the coach say, what's my opponent doing? You look around and everything's more erratic, and it felt very much like this under the mask, you know, as I was going through spells of, oh, this is actually now getting quite comfortable, I'm getting used to it, to, oh, okay, so what happens if now the nostrils gets blocked and I can't breathe properly anymore? Is it slimy? Is it hard? Can I still move it? Can I remove it? You start to go into this into the panic mode.
You handled it gracefully.
It didn't look like it. When I saw the videos, I couldn't believe how I looked like. Well, and this is what I felt from Ugo as well, is that he wanted to be perfect, and that's why I told him, even though my back might hurt or I feel uncomfortable under the mold or whatever the situation is, I will always give extra time to make sure that the project works out perfectly fine, that everybody's happy at the end of the day, because I feel like a project half done, you might as well not do the whole thing altogether. So for me, it's normal that I did what I did, and I hope Ugo is happy with the end result. And that's what I care the most about.
My work has a duality, looking out to nature or looking in oneself. Burn, shine, fly wants to arc in that transition our connection to nature.
Well, I mean, a classic portrait, I see somebody painting, right? So not so much what Ugo has been doing. It's a completely different, or let's say a twist to a portrait. But I'm really happy I chose to embark on this journey. I enjoy working with Ugo. I love it, actually. He's a super nice guy, a sweet man, very wise, and he's got a heart of gold, so for me to just spend time with him and learn from his art.
It was, well, it was fascinating. Of course, a very unusual combination, you know, an artist and a sportsman. And I mean, what did I know about Roger? He was a fantastic tennis player, but what really impressed me, I mean, they went along from the start.
Would you like me to do the screen share now?
Yes.
Okay.
If you can just slowly turn.
Sure.
Okay, set. So that's position A, right?
Yes.
And you just balance it a bit counterclock. Slowly, slowly. Not so much, because it was a bit too
otherwise
falling down.
Yeah, it almost feels
as
like
if you're
it's pulling.
Yes,
Yeah.
as if you're sliding down. So can we go to the other side, see?
Move the head?
Yes, because he has the skeleton.
Okay.
That's the skeleton.
Okay.
And now you just move.
It's been very enlightening for me to listen to Ugo and see how he goes from scratch to the finished product. And I think we're right in the middle of the process right now, and that's very exciting for me. And I'm learning a lot, to say the least.
How's that?
Okay. Can you go back how it was and make a screenshot of that? If one should maybe...
Yeah, I see what you're saying. They're almost identical, huh?
We would like to reveal both hands. So if this arm goes counterclockwise.
Let's break a bone.
Ow.
Hey.
Did you ever broke a bone?
No.
Never do that.
No. But it happens. Yeah, the problem is you have a lot of small bones in the wrists, so sometimes it just hurts a long time. You can play, but it hurts a long time. And depends, of course, what you do.
Never healed.
And yeah, you lose at least 3 to 6 months usually. Yeah. And the problem is you lose all your muscles, and and then you have to rebuild. Yeah.
No, it's hard work sport.
Yeah, it's no joke. It's no joke. Important is that you come out of it at the end of your career actually being okay, and not broken. So.
I mean, it was just like the most natural thing to have a tennis player, an artist, and the bank collaborate in this respect here. The project with Roger started, and he was really, I think, he enjoyed being part of an art project. As he is so interested in art himself, it was fun for him to be part of that.
Well, the Biennale is like the World Cup. Everybody comes here. Everybody wants to be here. Here you come also with a very strong exhibition. If not, you don't come because you want to do something remarkable. You need to come always with something new, something really fresh. And I think that the Flying Man that he was thinking about doing is a risk also because it's something new. You don't know if people are going to like or if it's going to work here. And when the Biennale, you have very, very short period of time to do things. If you finally you are not very happy with the Flying Man, there is no time to change it, then you have to do it.
I mean, the ultimate achievement of an artwork is an empty screen. So the viewer can project his mind on it. Art starts where language stops. It's like a communal alphabet.
I could never be an artist because it's too personal. If you're an artist, you have to be an artist, and that's what you are. And if you try to do something else, everybody's gonna have some opinion about it. I think it's also true if you're like Roger Federer and then you stop and then you spend your time developing shoes, Some people might ask a question as well, but I mean, it's totally fine. It's fine, everybody understands it. It makes so much sense, and at one point you have to stop playing tennis on that level. With the arts, forget about it. You do that until you die,
I'm not a big comeback fan, It's not like I'm retiring and coming back. I've been injured and coming back. It's a big difference. I'll never retire and come back. That is not something for me. I'll squeeze that lemon out, and then when it's the last drop is out, then I know I'm done. But honestly, this knee situation has been complex. It's been difficult. If you would have told me 4 years ago or 3 years ago, hey, just by the way, you know that in 21, 22, you'll have 3 knee surgeries and you'll still be coming back. I'm like, are you crazy?
I don't think people realise how difficult tennis is physically. They are using every joint and every muscle in the body. If you're a serve volleyer, you're pushing your knees to the limit, your ankles to the limit. You have to sprint, you have to stop, you have to sprint again, sometimes 4, 5, 6 times in a single rally, and then get yourself ready to play again within 20 seconds. So if you're carrying any kind of injury, to be doing that, to be pushing that, and not to know necessarily if he could do it, but also to be feeling pain quite a lot of the time. Federer was very, very good at hiding his pain. He was never one to suggest that he was in pain while he was playing. It still looked effortless, but sort of like a duck underwater, he's still doing all the hard work.
It's always very interesting to see what the greatest athletes of all time ended up doing once they stopped. It's not a simple one-way road, and I think it is allowed to have many bends, and we see that very often with the athletes. Sometimes people feel like after maybe doing the same thing for too long, it gets a bit monotone, always the same, and I just need a change. And I think an athlete goes through the exact same things. That's why, in my case, I've tried to reinvent my trainings with my teams, where I train, how often I train, with whom I train, many times, to keep it interesting, because if you do it always in the same place, it'll be too boring. So I need it to be exciting, and this is where you have to challenge yourself. And then if you really feel like you cannot, find that creative moment, let's say, then it's really better to walk away. I totally agree with that. I understand when athletes do that. Yep, no problem. I'm good. I'm okay. No problem, really.
I've never felt that he doesn't enjoy it. And I think that's why he has been so successful for so long, is because he absolutely enjoys the sport. Everything the sport has to give. And I think, we've been joking a lot lately. One of the things he misses most is being back out on tour with the guys and joking around in the locker room and the practice and the whole sort of process leading up to the competition. But in the end of the day, I always say he's a choir boy killer. I mean, this guy when you go on the court with him, he wants to win, and he wants to win badly. And he doesn't want you to win any games. He doesn't want you to win any points. And again, I have no idea why he still has that fire burning, but it's fun to watch.
The tour is my second family. I've told this to my children as well. I mean, you are my number one family, but I think the tennis tour is my second family. The fans deserve to see me one more time. Good version of myself, and not just the version we saw at Wimbledon at the end in the last set. It would be a huge mistake if I came back too soon.
I admire very much that he can pick himself up again over and over and over, as he had many falls in that sense. That's Roger Federer's energy, which is rare, and we all can admire and have him as a big inspiration, as he is an inspiration for the youth.
The person that is pushing Roger to come back again, without a doubt, is himself. There's no one else, because there's a lot of people behind the scenes, friends, family, technical teammates, coaches, fitness people who are questioning it. And yet it's something he wants to do. And I mean, the truth is, he might get to the point where he's put in the rehab, he's put in the time, and he won't be able to come back. You just don't know. It's all self-motivation. It's all challenging himself. Can he go one step further and do things that maybe he never thought he could, or maybe the doubters never thought? But it's all for him. I mean, he's not playing for the money. He's not playing for his family. He's not playing for his parents. He's not playing for anyone other than himself. And I think that makes it all that much more impressive.
The Venice Biennale has been sometimes described as the Olympics of the art world. It is this incredible expose of some of the most world-class artists.
Durante il periodo della Biennale d'arte, Venezia si trasforma in una città piena di mostre. La Biennale è importante per Venezia perché è un momento in cui si può anche pensare di cambiare il significato di arte.
In the Scuola Grande, that is a huge complex, I thought this is a space for Ugo Rondinone. This is a space that you have to fill with something, no? And he thought that Flying Man was the perfect moment to do it, and the perfect location was here.
I think there's different ways to look at it, how to create a portrait, and this is his twist to it, and I'm happy to be part of his imagination. It's been an incredible last couple of years with a fresh mindset, and that's what happens when you are hurt. That's when what happens when you don't travel so much, or when you can get onto the train of let's say of this art project with Ugo. You learn more maybe about yourself, that you actually sometimes do have the time. It's all a matter of priorities. I take energy from it, so it energizes me. Come here to get together with Ugo and create something. I would have never come here probably. I would have had the excuse to say like, I need to be in the gym, it's not good for me to travel right now. But no, I'm coming here, I'll travel back home tonight, I'll be in the gym at 9 p.m., no problem. It's going to be quite inspiring for me to finish this project, and I hope I can take the positives out of something like this.
When everybody knows that it's him, maybe they will come to see Roger again, and he will not be cloud number 6. He will be again Roger Federer.
So it's hard to recognize.
Exactly. I think it will be very difficult for the people to recognize me, don't you think?
I think so too.
Yes.
I don't think if you don't tell them and point the finger, I don't believe
because of the cap and upside down and backwards and all that.
And of course, I love that you agreed to be anonymous.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So you're cloud number 6.
Yeah, cloud number 6.
It's unusual that he plunge himself into such a project. He must obviously trust me. I don't create a monster out of him. So it's very courageous, yes. And speaks for his positive nature and curious mind.
Yes.
Learn, shine, life.
Beautiful. I think this is me.
When we first were presented with this project, we were not so sure what the end result would be. I mean, Roger and I, when it comes to his business, we like to know sort of the creative part, the beginning, the middle, and sort of what the end, at least be able to visualize it. With this project, we actually weren't able to do it. But Credit Suisse did a very good job of basically saying, let's just go for it. Let's see, it's gonna be good, it's gonna be creative. And that's what's been so nice about this project is Roger's never done anything like it before.
Interesting. I think it's a very interesting situation. I wonder how many people will recognize me in the first place. Just happy to be doing something with Ugo in the art world. It's a big honor for me. The project was really a lot of fun. In a way, this is the end of the project, yet the beginning for the audience. So I think it's. I'm going to follow it very closely. What people are going to say.
He's produced and done his work, and he's offered us his work so that we may feel and get in touch with our reactions, our emotions, and then interpret what the work does. Art to me is like a language that that you learn.
I don't know how he does what he does. I don't even always understand it right away, but if art had no mystery, I wouldn't be interested, probably. That's what draws me to it.
Well, I just walked into the room and had a great sense of joy and the sense of ambition that was attached to the project. I just felt elevated by it.
It's so beautiful to see all these figures hanging from the ceiling or flying in this volume. And it's very light.
I think Ugo didn't want to disrupt the feeling of the beauty of the church. Like he wanted to make an art exhibition there that didn't disrupt the experience too much. And I think that was really beautiful.
To see these bodies that are extensions of the paintings and the frescoes felt really obvious and really smart. And he just does really obvious things which are very hard to find. Like the obvious isn't always the easiest thing.
To see these flying figures that are in this cathedral setting, floating with the sky, was just magnificent. And I absolutely was thrilled when I walked in.
Then you see these figures flying in front of these paintings. That's just amazing.
I don't know if these were Ugo's angels or just flying figures, but they definitely have some connection to the spirituality of the chapel.
They look like they are between human being on earth and already in sky.
To see those images of people just falling from the sky in a cathedral environment.
I wondered if the bodies were rising, not falling.
And they're dancing with the air, and they're a little like acrobats also.
In such beautiful form, and it just felt like such an amazing blend between contemporary and historical.
They are happy, they are light, they are not down to earth, they are in the air.
It's sort of the emotional energy is upwards.
They were there with a purpose and with a vengeance, and it was inspiring and uplifting to see that energy.
Well, I mean, what I like about the anonymous part about it, it's in my life as well. I like it when it's sometimes anonymous, where people don't know where I am, they don't know what I'm doing. But then it's nice to get back into the limelight. It's nice to walk out on center court. It's nice to be famous sometimes, or known, or have the microphone for that matter. Now we haven't gone through it with Ugo and just seen it in reflecting in his projects at the end, sort of the bodies flying. And for him, it was very much the end of the project, and I felt a big sense of relief as well for him. And then I just asked him, like, does it really end? You know, is it the end? Or actually, for a lot of people, there is still something later that goes on as well, you know? And he's like, this is actually a very interesting point. So maybe I've inspired him to think what comes after flying, and is there something more that comes? Are you going to another place? It all starts again, who knows?
Do you have a perfect scenario how you would like to retire?
No, I don't, and that's the big question, and I cannot answer that one. And I don't want to think too far ahead. I first need to know how my knee is going to feel in these next 3, 6, 9, 12 months, you know, to be able to really go and dive into that. And I've always said, the moment I know how I will retire, because then it's clear, and then it's done. But I've tried to avoid it. It's not easy to avoid it, of course, you know, because you always have these thoughts, or you get asked about it, but I really don't know about it, and I like it that I don't know it.
To my tennis family and beyond. I am 41 years old. I've played more than 1,500 matches over 24 years. Tennis has treated me more generously than I ever would have dreamt, and now I must recognize when it is time to end my competitive career. As many of you know, the past 3 years have presented me with challenges in the form of injuries and surgeries. I've worked hard to return to full competitive form, but I also know my body's capacities and limits, and its message to me lately has been clear. The Laver Cup next week in London will be my final ATP event.
I think Roger Federer changed tennis. He breathed new, fresh life into tennis. People were worried that it was getting a bit boring, And along came this young Swiss guy who chucked his racket around when he was a junior, but turned himself into an absolute icon of tennis. He dominated the men's tour like no one had done really for a long, long time, more, 2-3 decades since someone had absolutely wiped the floor with everyone. He changed the way people thought about tennis. He became, I would say, probably the most popular sports person in the world.
The way in which he can see the game before it starts, he can really craft and compose how he wants to move the player across the court. And then his brush stroke is so similar to me in terms of the ways in which many artists visualize and envision the portrait or the art prior to execution. And then once it's executed, it's a masterpiece.
I said if I retire and wherever I announce it, it has to feel like it's going to be fun. So here I am, trying to prepare for one last doubles, and we'll see with who it is. And I'm nervous.
When you compete, you don't think of ever thinking of a retirement, but of course we all know better. But it was just purely time. I think he's excited about the retirement of it because there's other areas that he would like to go to. And so that's exciting to see him explore different avenues there.
I'm happy with the decision because I know it's the right one. I've had a lot of time to let it sit. There's so many things I will miss. But of course, the fans are at the center of everything.
We all knew that the day was coming.
The reason why tennis has been so exciting is because Federer used to play.
He's an icon, but most importantly, a role model. And not just to me, but to so many people.
Every champion has to, retire. I think it's the right time for him.
It's been an amazing ride. It's been incredible to watch this journey that you've been on. It started as a boy playing tennis. You turned into a junior champion, then a world champion, and then you became a sporting icon. What has that journey been like for you?
It was never supposed to be that way. It's just happy to play tennis and spend time with my friends, really. And it didn't end here, so it's been a perfect journey. I would do it all over again.
Did you actually recognize anyone of the figures?
No, I didn't.
Did I miss something?
I didn't look closely enough, honestly, to notice exactly who it could be.
This is like George Clooney, in a way, or Tupac Shakur. It's like that's what Tupac really been doing.
Are you asking, did I recognize a particular person? So it's significant. Who are those figures?
But I'm not so curious.
Do they have faces? I didn't know they had faces. All I saw was sky.
Who are they? Who are they? Did he tell you?
Maybe it's Elvis.
But then the one that was too sporty for an angel from that time. Now I have to go down and look at it again.